why
Dave,
I'm on this show.
Shut up. I will not let this be another Mr. Clark Stranger Things theory. Shut the fuck up.
Mustache.
Shut the fuck up.
Abandon all hope, all that enter Terra Firma.
I want this out of my Mortal Kombat right now. Not
Mortal
cool.
Kombat. I haven't heard the theme song in so fucking long.
I kind of tell.
So look what I did, man. I didn't even mean to. This would be like if you mentioned Dune around Jennifer. It just becomes a thing. Like, that's it. This is what we're going to talk about for an hour now, Dune. Which is a good thing to be talking about for an hour, but some people can't handle it.
It's a good way to schedule like a toilet break, or they go get some more beer. Just bring a topic up with someone that they can talk for hours without you actually participating, and then you just leave.
That's what I did for the... I did that for the Stranger Things finale, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I Facebook messaged you, remember? And I was like, Sam's coming over. It's a friend emergency, so we're going to have to take charge. Gotcha,
that's right.
And then by the time I got back on, like,
we were done.
You guys were like done and just like talking shit.
It's kind of what I did when I interviewed Georgia Fox, who was off that CSI show. She went on a rant about veganism, and I went and made a bacon sandwich while she was talking. She didn't come back on my show.
I was gonna say,
I wouldn't say I wouldn't,
because I kind of like Georgia Fox, even though I feel like she's very wooden. Like, she has very not changing very much expression, which is a poor way to say that. But
that's what Botox does to you.
Oh,
we're live, by the way.
I noticed that as we got here. I was like, oh shit, and it's happening.
So, as always, if you introduce yourselves, because as you'll find out, I don't fucking do that shit myself, so you have to do it for yourself. So,
all right. Well, Liz, would you like to ladies first?
Sure. Hi, I'm Liz Joplin, co-founder and content creator / podcaster / home redhead. I don't know, from Hollow9ine. Whatever.
And showrunner on Horrorcast, I guess you could have said too, but you know.
Yes. Stranger Things fangirl to the next level.
Among all the other things, yeah, she's one of the amazing talents we have over at the network, and I'm no stranger to the airwaves over here. Dave The Klone, CEO and founder as well of the Hollow9ine Network, and I don't know, we have so many shows. I'm on a bunch of them. Liz is on a bunch of them. Jennifer's on a bunch of them. Go check out the website. You'll see them all, and you'll see where we land and why we're here with Drew.
Yay!
I was going to say it's probably because I've got pictures of you, Dave, but that's something like that.
Sometimes you gotta just roll the hard 6. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. So, Halloween getting, I guess, the franchise is getting rebooted because they're now they're saying the sequel isn't canon anymore, the second one. So this new one coming out next year starts off where, is it 40 years after the first film?
So wait, they're really taking out the second movie? The second movie would have been easy to leave in.
Yeah, well, I think because they're starting, I mean, especially in horror, because with horror, there's so many different avenues you can take. And of course, there's so many alternate realities that you can do, which is awesome. And I think with Halloween, that's what they're doing. They're just kind of like, okay, so we've done, you know, like 4, 5, and 6, they were just kind of fucking weird. And then like we went back to Laurie Strode's storyline and then like kind of wrapped that up and just kind of went off on a tangent. So, you know, I wouldn't say they're rebooting it. They're just like
doing a what if, like a Marvel's what if.
Yeah, like a what if with Halloween, which I mean, I'm totally okay with, because Halloween and Michael Myers was my introduction to horror when I was a kid. So I'm like, well, let's do it again. Let's try again. Let's see what happens this time. So,
what's your theory on the direction they'll take the film?
I'm sorry?
Your theory on what direction they'll take the film in, what the plot will be around.
I have not read a lot of the articles. I know you have, right, Liz? A lot of the what Danny McBride has released so far about what sort of the concept is. But I mean, I think one of the things we definitely should expect is what I'm going to call a Stranger Things feeling about watching this new version of it. And it's going to be because of the same effect that, you know, Stranger Things, awesome show. It's like this new phenomenon, but so much of it is familiar. You know, a lot of the Liz burping is a familiar thing from anybody who's listened to any Hollow9ine podcast from Horrorcast. No, it's your thing, Liz.
It's my thing.
We're celebrating you as much as we're celebrating Halloween here.
Okay.
But a lot of the reason Stranger Things had a magnetism to it is because it relied on this like sort of zeitgeist familiarity with all of the themes and tropes and styles it was going to be borrowing from, flat out mimicking and flat out referencing. And I have a feeling that because it's being made now and because of who's making it, that this Halloween is going to have a lot of that same thing going on. You know, it's the same reason that like Scream was such a big hit, because subconsciously it was an homage, not subconsciously, very consciously made as an homage to Halloween. But the rest of us who don't pick up on things like homage right away probably had this strange, like familiar feeling about it. The same feeling that we had watching Stranger Things 1 and 2. So that's definitely, regardless of what they do story-wise and direction, I expect there to be this sort of like future nostalgia. You know what I mean? That we're going to be feeling this like weird nostalgia while watching it, even though it's a new version of the story.
I think bouncing off, like going off with what you said, Dave, because yes, it is 40 years after. And in Halloween H2O back in 98, she had a son, whereas now she has a daughter, so it's kind of flipped. But I'm hoping that maybe there are like kind of those little references to like the previous movies of just kind of like a joke, like, oh man, thank God that didn't happen, you know? Or maybe Danielle Harris, Jamie, is, you know, she lives past, you know, her story changes. So, I mean, that would be pretty cool. Probably not the case, but that, you know, maybe Jamie does live. And we're kind of seeing that storyline, so we don't get her son's story. But, I mean, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of Danny McBride, but he seems super passionate about this, so I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt and kind of give him a little leeway and trust. Because if he's... And of course, Blumhouse Productions is involved, and I love Blumhouse Productions, so I'm willing to kind of give it the benefit of the doubt, hope for the best, know what I would want to see, but then also kind of want to be surprised with what is presented to us when it comes out.
Yeah, I'm thinking Jamie Lee Curtis's character is going to be basically this generation's version of Loomis, so she's going to be the batshit crazy one once they work out Michael Myers is back. It's trying to hunt him down because he's after her daughter, basically.
Instead of her, right? He's not after her anymore, which is weird. That's already an interesting twist, because then it has something to do with it being a young person as opposed to the person itself. And, you know, one of the things I would definitely want them to explore is what makes him immortal. You know, I mean, one of the things that was always, I guess, sort of scary about the concept of Michael Myers is that he's this personified evil. But I always felt like once people were really taking that seriously, people are going to be hating me for saying this, so put the tweets down now. That leaves the door open for the full-on, so you're saying it's the horror film genre's midichlorians, like evil just was personified by, was he immaculately conceived? Did they get married after fucking Michael was born or some shit, even though they had an older daughter that he killed, so that theory instantly is dead? But it's just that whole idea that there's no real, like, at least with Freddy and with Jason, there's this whole supernatural element. I'm not saying that I want it to be a supernatural element, but there has to be some reason why he got shot, fell out of the second story of a house, and got up. You know, I mean, if everything's canon, that end of that first movie is just the imprint of his body in the ground and him not being there, and Loomis had just shot him, and now Laurie starts screaming because it's like, what the fucking fuck? So, you know, that has to be explainable. And 40 years is a long time. You know, that's a long time. But I do think that's cool when they incorporate how much time has gone by since the first film into the setting of the next film. Like, I don't know, it gives it this meta feel that makes it feel like appropriate, you know, like, all right, we're all older too. You know, like the star is old as fuck now, and we're all old as shit too. I remember being a kid watching this.
Yeah, it's going to be weird when it is literally 40 years later and he's not killed anyone now in the years in between. Are they going to go a route of, for half the film, are you trying to work out if it's a copycat or whatever, because it's the anniversary, the 40-year anniversary?
That's in. I don't know if I like that.
It's one of those weird rumors that's going around on the internet. I saw what is supposed to be leaked pages, but they're not, because one, they're not formatted properly, which is always a giveaway, and they're on the wrong color paper for it to be the fourth draft. So
I like that. Like, Drew knows the inside shit on that. He knows how to spot those things. Some of us suckers out here, like, I remember when, like, oh my god, there were leaked pages from the finale of Lost, and they would like post a screenshot, and I'm like, oh, that's probably some bullshit someone wrote up on Word like 10 minutes ago. You know what I mean? But because it was Lost, I was like, no, that's real. That could be happening. I really am not in love with that idea that Michael Myers has been dormant for 40 years, because that almost is like a what the fuck. Why?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you know, like, I don't think Michael, because it's like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, he gets shot, falls off the balcony, and then just disappears for 40 years. So maybe, like, he's just kind of in the background, in the shadows, where people are still dying, casts are still being murdered, but it's just so, they're just so isolated that no one really thinks about it. So maybe, I mean, maybe he's there for 40 years, but no one really thinks about it that much, especially since it's been 40 years. And I mean, a lot has happened in 40 years. So I'm pretty sure Michael Myers being involved is probably the farthest thing from anybody's mind in this movie. But of course, Jamie Lee Curtis did say that this one was going to be the last one for Laurie Strode. It was going to finish her story, which I mean, could mean that they finally kill Michael, or they kill Laurie properly, or whatever. But I mean, this is it. This is Jamie Lee Curtis's finale of sorts.
The swan song. I don't know, man. It's weird to think of. Like, I already feel like I'm suffering from the context of what Halloween was. You know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine a Michael Myers who hasn't killed for decades, who didn't get, you know, run over and set on fire and all these other things that happened to him in the further you know, sequels of that franchise. It's hard to imagine, like, picking up a story 40 years later that's not supposed to include some of the kind of context of that. And that is what I was sort of referring to, that Stranger Things effect. You know, like, when you say things like Michael Myers, like, your mind instantly goes into an expectation or like a mode of what that has come to mean. He's an icon. He's one of the modern boogeymen, and we haven't had many that have come along in the, you know, past 20 years that have been strong enough to replace these. And, you know, you can hear a whole discussion on this if you check out Hollow9ine, one of the panels that I was on at LI Geek last year. We talked about how, like, these sort of movie icons that were rites of passage for a lot of us because of the age we were when these movies came out, that it was always like our older brothers and sisters who saw them first, and we were trying to be cool, so we saw them when we were young, and that's why we had crazy nightmares, and probably why the world is fucked up now. So you're welcome.
I mean, yeah, I remember I got into horror around the time Halloween Resurrection came out, which was 2002, 2003, kind of the beginning of the bloody, disgusting era, as I call it. And I mean, and maybe this is where my love of writing really started, because I wrote like a fan spec script of what I thought should have been the next sequel after H2O.
H2O I actually liked H2O a lot.
Yeah.
I liked H2O2. Resurrection just was kind of and then the Rob Zombie one, the Rob Zombie ones, I mean, they were okay, but I think Rob Zombie was trying so hard to make it his own that it kind of backfired.
Yeah, Rob Zombie shouldn't be allowed to touch established properties anymore, and he shouldn't be allowed to do his own either.
Don't say that to Whitney. She'll kick your ass.
I know.
She'll come to Jersey and kick your ass.
I know. You know sorry. She's probably listening to this right now, going, "Dave, what the fuck?
That piece of shit! Let's kick his ass."
We're taking over Horrorcast for good. She was like, "What have I done? Why have I let them onto the show?"
Yeah, the Rob Zombie ones, I think I've been quite blunt in my description of them in the past. I think they're just shite, to be honest.
Yeah, they were like so pretentious.
Yeah, I felt like he tried in pieces of the first one to emulate Carpenter, but poorly, and then what he added to it didn't fucking make sense to the character. By trying to give Michael this fucked up childhood, but it took away from the actual effect of the first one, where he's just this regular kid that just one day snaps and kills his sister.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I remember being in a college psychology class, and the professor was saying, we all have thoughts that, you know, you probably don't even want to admit to yourself or to other people. But, you know, there will be times if you have a knife in your hand and someone's nearby, it is normal that in your brain, the thought crosses like, what would happen if I stab this person? Now, the people who are well adjusted and balanced always decide not to do that because of all the horrible moral reasons and, you know, legal ramifications of doing it. But like somebody that doesn't have that moral compass, that would then just be like, shit, that's what happens. You know what I mean? And it almost is like, that's kind of the way that kid's face looks. We never get like a really good explanation for why he decided to snap and stab his sister on Halloween. It just happened. And I think maybe part of the reason they're retconning even the second one out is because that's the first one. But in that film, it was said Sam Hain, and that's why I thought Sam Hain is how it was said for the longest time. Apparently, I've been told I'm very ignorant for that, but so was Carpenter. They definitely called it Sam Hain in that movie, you know, and it was what's his name? Donald Pleasance said, he's like, Sam Hain, the Celtic celebration of Sam Hain. So and that added the supernatural element to it, I guess.
Yeah, and I think for me, the reason I didn't really, I mean, of course, because he elaborated and was really pretentious about it, but the fact that Donald Pleasant was Dr. Loomis for so long, and then Malcolm McDonald comes in and tries to like take over. It was weird because Donald Pleasant is the only person who can play Loomis. And I was like, you know, Donald Pleasant's gone. We should just leave Loomis with him. Because Malcolm McDonald's a good actor, don't get me wrong, but he just was not Dr. Loomis. You know?
Yeah, but it also like kind of was not Halloween. So it maybe
that is a fair,
isn't so bad.
I think because I just had an open mind about it. I just wanted to have an open mind when I watched it, that I could see little itty bitty pieces of it. I feel like with Rob Zombie's version, he went a bit far because, of course, he killed his sister, but then he also killed his stepdad and, like, the baby sister. Well, like, the baby sister lived, of course, but then, like, mom and, like, this whole, like, what's wrong with Michael? And then mom ends up dying. And it was, like, it was too complicated.
And it was too close to the Devil's Rejects. It was way too close to his stuff, which was way too close to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So it was all unoriginal shit.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes it's scarier not to know.
Yeah.
Which is why the original was so scary, because we don't know why. He just killed his sister, and then 17 years later he goes and he tries to kill his baby sister, and it becomes this whole thing. And when you try to make sense of it, it just kind of, it ruins that element of surprise and that element of scare. It's kind of like in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where you don't really see anybody getting killed, but you hear it and you have that imagination. And I feel like that's what it is with the original Halloween, is that you don't know why. So your mind just kind of goes through all these theories of what happened to Michael. Why did he do it? Just kind of all these theories. And I feel like that is what made it work the first time. And then the remakes just kind of took the theory out of it, which kind of sucked it of all its personality, I guess, or gave it too much personality. I don't know.
Yeah, and too much of Rob Zombie's wife as well. I'm just putting that out there.
I love her. I love her. She's really I like her. She's cool.
Oh, she's so annoying in those movies, though. So annoying.
There's only one reason he's putting her in those movies.
Yeah. yeah. We all know anyone who's got a wife like that, who's stuck with him for like the world of heavy metal in America, deserves to be in movies, whether she can act or not. Just whine her way through 90 minutes of torturing us. But
They're so mean.
Yeah, we're terrible.
Yeah.
But Malcolm McDowell is a good choice to he was
a good choice, but it was so badly written. They just wrote the biggest arsehole they could possibly write. So they changed the character from being this guy who was batshit crazy but a kind guy, and turned him into just a douchebag.
Yeah, wasn't he like he was almost like a Gale Weathers from Scream. Like, he was writing books, he was on a book tour, he was cashing in on having been the psychologist who worked with Michael Myers, whereas
he was as fake as fucking Dr. Phil in that movie. Actually, that's probably going too far. He was as fake as that pirate cunt we don't like.
Oh shit! Yeah, true. There's a lot of fakeness to compare it to. out on the high seas there.
Yeah. Whereas, I mean, like the original, Dr. Loomis is like he just wants to fix he just wants to fix this mistake that not he directly made, but he feels responsible for. Whereas in the remake, he's of course a douchebag, and I think that's why he was so relatable and everyone liked him in the first couple ones, because it's like he's like, I've made a great mistake, I've made a grave error, I need to fix this, oh my god, he's just like losing his shit because he's like, I need to fix this, I need to stop Michael, oh my god, people need to stop dying, oh my god, stop being stupid, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Which is probably what killed Dr. Loomis in the end.
I also think he's so obsessed that he can't see that the only answer is to somehow kill him, though. You know what I mean? Like,
but you can't kill the boogeyman, Dave.
You gotta throw him into a wood chipper or whatever they did in like the sixth chapter of Friday the 13th. There's one of them where he winds up in like a hay baler or some shit, and it's like even then he still winds up coming back from that. But Michael Myers, they're if he's a human being, there has to be a way to kill him. And if he can't die, there has to be a reason he can't die. And I would like to see a serious, in this day and age, I think you can make movies that take themselves serious, even though they're part of like a genre and they're tropey by nature. And I don't know, just the way you would say like Jordan Peele wasn't necessarily known for making a movie that would have turned out like Get Out did. I think Danny McBride may have some tricks up his sleeve that we're all going to be pretty surprised by. Any of his shows on HBO, you're just like, this guy has a lot of creativity. He's got a lot of energy, and he probably grew up loving Halloween the same way we did. So, a lot of what this is going to be fanfic on like steroids and with Hollywood budget, but probably, more respectful of the source material than most other people who get to do shit like this would be.
Yeah, well, and I feel like, going back to Jordan Peele as well, where people like actors and writers and directors who are kind of known for a certain genre, they cross over to another genre. I always do get excited about that, because then that's a different side of that individual that we don't see. And Jordan Peele, of course, I love Key and Peele. So when they're like, oh yeah, he did Get Out, I was like, let's fucking do this.
Yeah.
And Danny McBride. And of course, both of those movies were Blumhouse productions. And for those of you who listen to Horrorcast know, I will follow Jason Blum and his production company to the ends of the earth. So
we got to get her an internship over there at the very least. If anybody's listening, can hook that up. Send her on Liz Joplin at hollow9ine.com, which is the word hollow, the number 9, ine.com. Let's get Liz. some kind of access over there. So that
I just want to have coffee with Jason Blum. I don't need an internship. I just want to have coffee. Like, can I pick your brain, kind sir? So, yeah.
Sometimes it's not hard to please.
No, it's the little things in life. It really is. It's little things.
So were we gonna God mode this, or
we're gonna God mode it? Yeah. So, what direction would you have taken it in? Would you have done a complete reboot or a sequel to, like they're doing, to the first one, to the second one, to the fucking 90-second one, whatever? What route would you have went?
I don't know, Liz, do you have any ideas? Do you want to go first, or do you want me to kick it off? I would probably first. Okay, go ahead.
If you want to know, I mean, if you have an idea, go for it.
I mean, I don't have any real solid idea of what I would want to see, because as much as I want to see what Halloween is known for, I almost want to see it the way, you know, I knew what Westworld was like from the old movie, and then seeing the HBO show, it's like, holy fuck, that is a way I never would have pictured it, and it almost feels like it's more true to the original because it's so different. So I would want to find a way to have it be Michael Myers, but in that same way, where maybe I was thinking about this a little bit right before we all got on the call. What if it was a movie where we're seeing it through the perspective of somebody who's doing almost like a history report, like a documentary or something, almost akin to Blair Witch. Now, I say that treading lightly because I don't want to say found footage or anything like that, but the sort of spirit of, we're kind of going to go figure out whatever happened to this guy that disappeared after a night of trying to kill his, you know, younger sister, who he had failed to kill years before.
But killed everyone around her. But killed everyone around her.
Broke out of a mental institution. You know, this crazy doctor came and shot him. And I would want it to be the kind of thing where they're on this like crazy investigative journey, only to find out that they are Michael Myers. You know what I mean? That this whole thing, as they're starting to get like more twisted by the things that they're learning and starting to be like affected by it. Like, I wanted to have that Shutter Island moment where everyone's like, holy fuck, he's been Michael Myers this whole time. And this has been part of like his regression hypnotherapy. And this could be what sends him off into the killing spree. You know, that this could be the beginning of the whole thing. This could be after the very first killing of his teenage sister. And this could be the one session that Dr. Loomis had with him that fucking unlocked the fucking true killer in him. You know what I mean? And that, but it was like, somehow we're seeing it. It would have to be like he's a little, he sees himself as a little bit older, because I picture it being someone who's like, you know, college age, like, you know, early to mid 20s, whereas he was still a teenager when he came back to Haddonfield, right? When he broke out of the institute the first time.
Because he was, how old was he when he killed Judy? 10,
11, 12,
11?
something like that.
So then so if he was 10 and then it was like 17 years later, he would have been 27 in 1970.
Okay. All right. So yeah, this would make sense for the way that I'm. And now, granted, this is also a very different way of going about this story. It's very much for someone who's saying they wanted to see the old shit. Like, maybe there is a copycat. Maybe he subconsciously is killing people and he's chasing himself throughout the whole movie. You know what I mean? And he's doing it without seeing it, without realizing it, because, you know, that part of his personality is still.
In 2018, Michael Myers would be 68 years old.
Well, that's the whole thing. I don't know if I would do this time jump to make it 40 years. You know, I'm seriously not in love with, especially not 40 years where he hasn't been killing people the whole time. You know what I mean?
Or
like,
maybe it was like he blended in with society, like Michael Myers the killer and Michael Myers the guy, or like two, like Mr. Robot situation.
That would be kind of neat too. That he could turn it on and turn it off.
Yeah, where it's like he gets shot, like he falls down the balcony. He, you know, gets shot, falls down the balcony, and then disappears. And like, what if like he wakes up and he has no idea what happened? He knows he's been shot. He feels like shit. There, like all this shit's going on, and he's like, "Oh my god, I should probably go home." And then he just kind of lives a normal life, and you know, going with the 40-year story plot where something happens where 40 years later, whether it's a word or a sound or
Something
regressed
triggers
memory
him.
that comes to light. So it's like it's like, you know, like we're just kind of like, I don't know, I'm intrigued by this, maybe not so much you guys, but where it's like half of the movie is just kind of like Laurie and what she's doing, and then you've got this random guy he doesn't go by Michael Myers, he's just like some regular guy, some regular Joe who's friends with Laurie and her daughter, or is like a neighbor or something, and then something happens and all of the memories from 1978 come flushing back. And so like that first like half point on, or like even like the last third of the movie is like him losing his fucking shit and trying to kill Laurie. But I'm a huge fan of build up, so that would probably work for me.
It had a Memento feel to it as well. You know what I mean? Like there's like a certain level of like, I don't know. I like the idea of like not knowing their own true identity and that the person they're chasing is themselves. And that's also because I've had a lot of stories that have started about shit like that. So I'm like, well, this would be a good one that maybe could end, because like it would have to, you know, lead to him either. It would definitely have to, something would have to account for, you know, if he survived falling from that balcony, if he did it and was really fucked up, like limps, you know what I mean, hasn't been able to walk correctly for ever since, you know,
because he got shot. Oh, sorry, he got shot 7 times. 2nd story building, so probably feels like shit. Back probably hurts. Probably limping, probably has hip issues.
We can, I would say, if they even wanted to retcon that he was wearing a bulletproof vest underneath the coveralls because he killed a cop or something earlier and took the bulletproof vest from him, you know, like that there was a certain level of consciousness to his madness, that it was like sentient madness, whereas I think we get the impression that there's not a lot of thinking going on in the original one. You know, like even the one moment where his mask comes off, it's like he's silent, he looks scared, and he puts the mask back on. So he's just always just been like this driven, personified like death. You know, so if we see him like putting on a bulletproof vest, we see that there's like a slight premeditation to his methodology that starts to ratchet up like the psychologically scary shit, you know?
Yeah, well, and I'm just going to be silly for 1 second. I'm going to be silly for 1 second. I mean, because it's like you say he's silent, and, you know, because he's killing all of our friends, he's killing all these people, and he's not saying anything, even when his mask is taking off. I mean, we're kind of seeing it from like a 3rd-person perspective. So, I mean, shits and giggles. I'm just trying to be funny here for a second. What if he's like, have you seen my sister? No? Okay. Sorry. Oh. And like maybe like all of it's just an accident. He didn't mean to kill anybody. He was just like so like anxious to get to his sister. She stole my crowns.
I didn't realize stabbing her with a knife would kill her. That when he ran outside, he was actually upset and looking for help. And they were like, "What have you done?" And he's just like, actually been semi-catatonic most of the time. Most of this whole like 17 years of being institutionalized. I definitely feel
which would go back to the whole thing of like he's a different, you know, Michael Myers or a different persona.
Well, I mean,
doing
this
like
is basically you're talking about the number 23 here. You know what I mean? Like, you ever see that movie with Jim Carrey, like the twist ending that it's like it was really him, that there actually was this, he jumped and tried to kill himself and he didn't succeed, but he wound up with amnesia, and the doctor sees the written big confession and thinks it's just like a crazy book. And, you know, it's like things need to line up for this to be plausible. They figured that out. I bought that ending, you know, in the number 23. I actually think that's a very underrated movie. It took a lot of shit just because it was Jim Carrey. And I could see something like that working in the scenario you're talking about, Liz, because he has to, from whatever injuries he sustained from getting shot, from falling out of the balcony, I would say, like, if he found like a wallet in the coveralls with an ID, and that was somebody he had killed, and he goes back to that house and thinks it's his house, and he starts living out that life. But
what if that person has a wife and kids? He walks into some random woman's house and she's like, "Who the fuck are you?" And he's like, "I'm so and so," and she's like, "No, you're not." No, you're not.
Holy shit!
I live here. No, you don't. I've never seen you before in my life. You're not my husband. You're not my dad.
Obviously, it would have to be like an old driftery kind of, like that new maintenance guy over at the barn, or that new janitor over at the old folks facility. So it's somebody that would easily be mistaken, or just assumed if they had, the ID badge. And we have to remember that is taking place in the 70s. Where I would bring it to, if we were doing this 40-year thing, I would buy it if something like that was going on. If it was this weird number 23 scenario where he wound up living out this whole other life and maybe having dreams about Lori, you know what I mean? Or having dreams about killing people every once in a while.
Now I'm excited. Now I'm fucking excited. I want to write this now. I want this to happen. Danny McBride, if you're listening, just scrap the whole thing. Start over. Start over right now. Or I'll write it. Fuck, I'll just write I'll just write fan fiction. Fuck you. I'll do it myself.
Well, see, that's the other thing, because we've had so many things where, like, Sony, to keep the rights to Spider-Man, just keeps remaking the first Spider-Man story. Like, finally with Homecoming, we had a different Spider-Man movie. It's like, let's just keep making our own. All right, fine. Danny McBride rebooted Halloween. Let's just do our Halloween. And it's like, fuck it. They went their way. We'll go our way. Lori died in the 40 years between then and now. You know what I mean? Like, so there's no even Lori involved. Let's get her the fuck out of here.
How dare you? How dare you? How fucking dare you?
She already did her "This Is My Last One," and it was the fucking Busta Rhymes one. You know what I mean?
Here's the thing, because she said, and I quote, "That was stupid." So even she probably didn't agree to that. She was probably contractually obligated to be there, and because whoever they were, decided that they wanted to take it in a whole different direction, they fucking killed her off in the first 10 minutes. And it's like, if this is the one where she goes, it's going to be done properly. Hopefully, fingers crossed, Danny McBride, do not fail me. Otherwise, I will kill you.
I might be slightly off, but I think she get paid $500,000 to do that Resurrection movie. So I think that might be the reason she came back and shot 2 scenes.
I was going to say, she probably owed money or had a house that she was trying to buy, and it was like one scene was her sitting in a wheelchair and pretending to take pills. So that's almost like the equivalent of like one of these older actors who are like, I'm sitting in the bed. You shoot me in my bedroom in my fucking pajamas. That means show up at 11. You get 2 takes, and then you get your shit the fuck out of here. And I want third billing. I want to be on the goddamn poster in my pajamas in my bed. I'm that guy. I think that's Michael Caine. Which I actually really like Michael Caine, so I hate to spread rumors, but I spread rumors. It's what I do sometimes.
Dave, shut up.
Why
Dave,
I'm on this show.
Shut up. I will not let this be another Mr. Clark Stranger Things theory. Shut the fuck up.
Mustache.
Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Shut up. Nobody asked you.
We should probably not talk about how much I hate mystery men either. Oh my god, it was so funny. I was listening to another podcast and I heard someone say, "Oh, that mystery man, what a pile of garbage that is." I'm like, "Oh, thank God, I have backup out there in the world."
That is it. That is it. Fuck this shit. It's coming back. It's coming back with a special episode, just so that way I can tell you why you are wrong about mystery men. Stop laughing.
I actually feel
that's right. Choke on the air you breathe, you bastard.
Putting a voodoo curse on me to choke on my own words, so I apologize. Anyway, sorry, Drew. This didn't mean to bring our domestic disturbance onto your show. This is infighting from the Hollow9ine Network.
It escalated so quickly.
Often does. This is how a hack writer like me would do it. I would do it. It would be set after the second one, 40 years after. Michael secretly, so no one knows it up until like the second act, has been getting kept in the nut house after it, and he has amnesia. The A plot is the daughter of Loomis, based on his diaries about treating Michael Myers, wrote a book about the whole thing about how he killed her dad and all that shit. That's getting turned into a movie on the 40th anniversary of him coming out and trying to kill his sister. Him seeing all the press footage on the TV sparks his memory, breaks out of the nut house, and you're off to the fucking races with him killing folk that are on the movie set.
Nice.
Basically, simple 3-act structure, couple of deaths in first act, couple of deaths, spread it out.
Yeah.
Piss.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very much true to the form of the Halloween franchise. You know what I mean? It's like, and
I know that for scale, by the way. Or scale plus 10. Scale plus.
Oh, there you go. Scale plus 10. Nice. That's, you got to demand. You got to make your demands, especially nowadays, right? Where everybody is
Fucking
being
right.
found out to be fucking monsters. There's going to be a few openings around
that
for
was the
normal
thing.
people.
I threw this open to my
I'm
email list,
available.
and
Yes.
there was so many people were like, well, if I was remaking it, I'd cast this actor. And you're like, well, you couldn't because he's probably going to serve jail time soon.
Yeah, like how much of Hollywood is like about to be off the grid, and
Well,
it's
they should really be remaking Nightmare on Elm Street right now with Kevin Spacey. Just saying, he's the
oh,
perfect Freddy Krueger.
fuck. Oh my god! And it might be the only job he can get, right? Because
Yeah.
holy shit. Wow, but yeah, I mean, it's like to the point where it's affecting even going back and rewatching older movies, and you know, I mean, maybe the fact that you will, if you go back and watch like Halloween H2O, Halloween Resurrection, you watch any of the Scream movies, that's a Dimension Films, you know, that's all
Yep.
pre name change Weinstein Company. You know, it's like you now you even hear the name and you're like, oh fuck, the every chick in this movie probably got molested or raped while they were making this fucking movie. Like how does it not taint all of that? And yeah, it's really going to be interesting to see how like the whole face of entertainment changes as a result of all this. Probably rightfully so. But
Hollywood's fucking dead at this point.
It's like, how do you go back and like, you know, now not have some of these conversations with that affecting the context a little bit?
It's the funny thing about Hollywood is they're always rebooting all these franchises, but they now have to fucking reboot themselves.
Yeah, like the entire industry, the entire place.
Well,
Like,
I would definitely love to be in the reboot of the entire Hollywood industry. So,
yeah, so we're actually, I think, hoping all of us have a chance to get a piece of that pie. You know, Hollow9ine definitely is hoping to.
Yeah, I've done that. Fuck Hollywood.
Yeah.
I'm going independent.
We're not saying Hollywood. We're saying whatever, you know, whatever this new thing that emerges that'll probably be a lot more run by the people in the independent sector. You know,
I imagine in the next 5 years, there's going to be more female heads of film studios. Is going to be what the aftermath of this is, which is the way it should have been for a long time. Like there's people like Amy Pascal should be running a studio at this point in their career.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
go Amy. Go Amy.
I mean, you know, some of the directors too, you know, Catherine Bigelow, imagine her having a studio where she was kind of overseeing. I mean, even just imagine the development of different types of stories that will start happening because of this. You know, I mean, the immediate thought is like, well, I mean, you already have how many who's the sort of, she's the project lead for all of Disney's Marvel situation, you know, like the whole and Star Wars too. Oh fuck, I can't remember her name right now, but like, you know, that they have taken these things that have such huge fandoms attached to them, and we're talking about decades of fandom, you know, like 30, 40 years of fandom, same way that Halloween does, that it's been in the hands, and I would say, you know, things like Rogue One show how much more, you know, fleshed out the stories are going to start getting, which is pretty cool for like people like me who always liked to take a minute and have more time with a character. Like I found I always liked the characters who got killed off like in the second act, or at the very to end the first act, begin the second act. Like, oh man, the good friend, like in Predator 2 when Ruben Blades gets killed, I'm like, motherfuck, I knew just because I liked him in the first sequence that he's going to be the guy who gets killed first. I want to see like more of that guy's story.
Kind of like Interstellar, Wes Bentley. Like,
yes, there you go.
Like, god damn it! Like, yeah, that was the first
planet.
Yeah, it was the first time in my life where I was like, "Damn you, Nolan! Damn you!" So I feel you. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that applies to Halloween, but
quite a lot of it. That's what you call real life horror. What's going on in Hollywood?
Yeah, true. It's interesting. It's very interesting. And then how do you not look at people like Jamie Lee Curtis and know that this was probably part of her journey too? You know, there's every single, now it's not even just confined to the females in Hollywood. You know, Kevin Spacey showed that it's happening to guys just as much. So it's kind of it's weird. It's hard to watch older shit and not be thinking like, oh man, I wonder. I don't know. I've only heard things about John Carpenter that were sort of in the other realm of scary, like on the violence side, not so much on the sexual aggression side. But you know, I think everyone who dances in this fucking arena has some craziness to them.
Like even people that you wouldn't for a second think of, like fucking Richard Dreyfuss and stuff. Stuff's come out about recently.
Yeah, I actually saw a meme on Facebook and his picture was included, and I was like, whoa, what the fuck? I had heard his son actually was one of the people that is now
Spacey,
yeah. So I was just like, I thought maybe they had mistaken what they had heard in the news, and he's, you know, inadvertently he's gotten swept up. But now it's like, fuck, dude, like you were the smart guy in Jaws, you know what I mean? Like a classic fucking movie, and now that's gonna have everything's gonna have that little tinge of like Hollywood has been horrible. Like I can never watch Lucas again after the stuff that I've heard about Lucas. You know what I mean? Like, oh my god, that's a terrible story.
Yeah. People were like, I saw this fucking thing on YouTube where a guy was doing basically a comedy routine about what had happened to Corey Haim, and like not one fucking second of it is actually funny. Yeah. He's like laughing at his own jokes, and he's saying HIV couldn't kill Charlie Sheen, but now his career's fucking dead. Like, that's shit. Not funny, man. If he was fucking raping a child, that's
crazy. Joke. That's fucking crazy. And I don't know, the fact that all these people have been walking around with all of this just in their heads for all this time, it's wild. You know, I mean, maybe this is what we're talking about. Maybe 40 years. Having Michael Myers walking around with that kind of trauma in his head would be a really cool story.
I think it would definitely be metaphorical for what is going on currently in the industry. I mean, just, you know, having him walk around that information, and it's like just a secret. Like for some people, it's a secret that they just keep to themselves, and it's, you know, and then it kind of comes to a head in the world. It's like the bomb fucking went off all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, I hope it doesn't, but maybe it's a metaphorical, you know, mirror to what's going on currently, because horror films have always been kind of a mirror of what society is. It's always, you know, because everyone's always like, oh, horror movies aren't political, but I feel like out of every single genre, horror is the one that is most political, where it's just more subtle about it.
Yeah, or it presents it in a way that you don't realize they're being political, you know? I mean, how many people want to realize that they're supposed to you're the zombies, you fucktards. Like the reason they're going to the mall, you fucking idiots. Like, come on. You're the goddamn zombies, you know? Like, and they all think, oh, I'm one of the 8 people in there. 8 people out of how many zombies? Come the fuck on. There's more people on this floor than 8. You think one of them might be, you know, come the fuck on. It's always been kind of a putting in your face. There's so much that you're not going to be able to do anything about. And I think, you know, having Michael Myers be a person that doesn't have a supernatural origin, and even though we know it's the brother of Laurie, the scariest part about him is that it really could be anybody under there. You know what I mean? If it's not a monster, if it's not somebody they had to do a demon dance to resurrect out of the ground, it's just a guy who went so crazy that now bullets won't stop him. Like, that's fucking... There are people we already have in the world that are serial killers that could apply to. You know, like, does that mean that the reason Charles Manson hasn't died yet in the hospital is because he's got this character armor from being so crazy and so...
You mean
evil?
he's still alive? He didn't die today?
The last headlines I saw was that it said Charles Manson clings to life in California hospital. So even nature can't take out something that evil, right?
Maybe. Who knows?
He gives a pretty good fucking interview, though.
Yeah.
For a crazy person.
Could you imagine having that? I mean, that's going to be, if anyone hasn't watched Mindhunter on Netflix, I believe that's going to be part of season 2, because they were scheduled to interview Manson. But I just imagine getting that call, like, hey, you want to interview Charles Manson? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
I would, because apart from what he did, that was fucking horrendous and everything. He is not that intimidating to me. He's like 5'3". Like the height of
Yeah, and he also didn't do a lot of the killing himself, right? It was that he was brainwashing people and getting people to do stuff
he
for him.
basically got
Used
all
his
these female
charisma.
followers to kill for him because he didn't have the balls to do it himself.
Yeah, so it's
And
not
he was
him.
only 5'3", so like fucking chances he got. You know what I mean? It's not like he was
Yeah.
5'3" and Jackie Chan. You know?
Yeah, right, or Jet Li. But it's definitely the idea that is there something about somebody that evil that just even being in the same room as them, you're at a major disadvantage. You know what I mean? That
Kind of like Robert Durst. Robert Durst.
who is
The Jinx, you know, HBO miniseries accused of murdering his wife, his best friend, his neighbor. I
the
mean,
guy who
look-
admitted it.
Yeah.
As part of
Like,
the show, didn't realize he
and-
was admitting to murder.
yeah, I mean, if you look into his eyes, it's pure. I mean, his eyes are dark naturally, but there's so much evil. But evil, you know,
know who he was, but I knew what he was. You're like, he was evil behind the mask.
yeah, you know, where it's like you can like that. Like in my honest opinion, Robert Durst is what evil looks like because you know he's so charismatic and he's a little charming and he was good looking and all this stuff. Where it's like you don't suspect it, you know. Charles Manson's 5'2", and he created a whole fucking cult that wreaked havoc in California in the 60s. All because he couldn't get to be a beach boy.
And now he so it's all an act, all the crazy shit that he says and believes and whatnot.
Well, it didn't help.
I don't know, man. But then you have people like Son of Sam who, like, you know, are hearing their orders to kill from a barking dog, you know, and we know that there are mental conditions that would make the hallucination of that true to the person experiencing it. So
But it doesn't make them violent by nature. Just saying. Mental health fact. Mental health people are more likely to hurt themselves than others. But that's for another day. That discussion's for another day.
Getting real serious over here all of a sudden.
That's how I roll. That's how I roll. I go up, and then I just fucking crash and burn. You know how this goes, Dave.
Let's see what the fuck happens now.
The wreckage. There's nothing left.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
So who, you know, if we were God moding this still, and we had all these different approaches, do we have people in mind? You know, I mean, now that you definitely couldn't use Donald Pleasance, I don't care what anybody says with that Rogue One technology. That shit looked like a video game. I would not use that to resurrect a completely passed on actor. I would find, like, if I'm rebooting this or if we're doing a big time jump, you know, I would definitely want there to be well, I guess even if that's another reason why I don't want to do 40 years, because then Loomis definitely is dead. So you have to get Loomis's daughter or understudy, you know, assistant, some shit, somebody who would have wanted to continue his work.
Yeah, I would have cast someone like Lena Headey or someone like that.
Oh,
as, like,
nice.
his daughter.
Yeah. That's cool. It's a good
It should be
choice.
age appropriate.
Yeah, yeah. I almost feel like it would be neat to see like a Tobin Bell take a stab at a Loomis type, you know, that maybe it was like another doctor who worked with Loomis who was younger at the time, but now Tobin Bell is the right age. And now that's definitely just because I watched all the Saw movies recently. So I'm really a fan of Tobin all of a sudden. I'm going to be doing an awful lot of taking on the role of Jigsaw in all kinds of dramatic ways. I'd like to play a game. A game of how you would make Halloween.
Oh, God. Dave.
Yes.
Dave.
It's like, these are the times I used to zone out, man. This is it.
Man. But, I mean, Tobin Bell, I mean, definitely, because, I mean, don't try to recreate Loomis. Just let Loomis slay and replace the character as a whole, because I mean, of course, 40 years Loomis would absolutely be gone, but who's to say that there isn't still someone who he passed along that legacy to, of like, so there's this guy, killed his sister, went to a psych hospital, broke out, tried to kill his other sister. It's all you. It's all you now. And so now it's kind of like trying to finish what Loomis started, which would be cool because, I mean, and I keep saying this, if this is the last one, finish it. You know? And
but
like,
is it supposed to be the last or just the last for Laurie Strode?
As far as I know, the last for Laurie Strode, but I mean, they finally put a nail in the coffin for Nightmare on Elm Street, so why wouldn't they do it for Halloween eventually?
Yeah,
there's only
John Carpenter came out and said this was the last Michael Myers Halloween.
Oh wow!
Oh man, my entire childhood ending right there. I mean, yeah, Michael Myers was like was the beginning of a very long fandom of horror. Like right around the time Bloody Disgusting started out. I mean, it was just a fucking like those really bad like web, what was that site called? Oh, I can't remember.
Ogreish.
Ogreish.com.
Where
not Ogreish. Like
photos of people like who had motorcycle accidents and blew half their face off and shit. I had a friend who used to look at that all the time, and I was like, dude, I feel gross being in the same room right now. Like, yeah. I've seen one photo that I've never been able to get out of my head, and I'm like, why would you ever get on a motorcycle after seeing that photo? Like, oh my god. It almost was how I felt after watching Saw 7. I was like, holy shit. That's what that machine does to someone.
Yeah, just kind of like Michael Myers being the beginning, and then like I am 25 now, so that's like 15 years of my life of where it all began, and then it finally has an end, and it's like really sad, but at the same time Michael Myers will always have this legacy, just like Freddy Krueger will always have a legacy. Jason will always have a legacy. Leatherface will always have a legacy. Those iconic horror characters, no matter when or if they decide to stop making them, they will always have a legacy. I mean, Chucky. I mean, they're just now starting to make more Child's Play movies, and that's kind of fucking awesome. And it's like, and they're kind of turning Fiona Dourif, his daughter, into the movie. Like she's Chucky now, which is kind of awesome. And Fiona Dourif is amazing. So have at it, kiddo.
That's pretty badass.
It is pretty badass.
I've always been a big Brad Dourif fan, so any offspring in the Dourif clan, I think, is cool.
No, Fiona's amazing. She's also in Dirk Gently too.
Oh, that's why you like her. Got it.
What? Okay, I liked her because of Dirk Gently, and then branched out and was like, "You're amazing, and I love you, and I want to be friends with you."
In case you're watching,
please.
In case she's one of the 12.
You never know.
Five of them will be DK because, like,
I was gonna say we have 12 people watching. Yeah, I was watching the Haver episode again. I was like, oh yeah, he's got the tablet, he's got the Xbox, he's got a computer, he's got a phone. Yep. I was like, oh, so you're telling everybody the secrets of how we pump numbers, dude. Thanks, good. Now everybody knows that's how you do it. Every device in the house is watching the show right now. Hey, DK.
Hi.
I
didn't realize we were being watched right now. Now I feel even more exposed. Fuck you guys.
There was like a couple of folk that are just like in the email group watch the videos getting recorded, like as a fucking insider thing. Usually I tell them to fuck off.
You paid extra for this. This is the VIP access you paid extra for. That's awesome. For just $49.95 a month, man. That's what you get.
Go buy a t-shirt, you miserable bastard.
How to be a better podcaster. Putting the in unprofessional. Hollow9ine.com. You know where to find us. Even if we're dying, we still make it to air. Oh man.
Yeah, would imagine this Halloween film's remotely successful, they'll do about 10 fucking sequels to it. That go straight
Well,
to
that's the
DVD.
thing. I was going to say, if this is the last one, I mean, if it's the last one for Laurie, it's the last one for Michael, does that mean we're going to reboot even who the horror icon is, like who the bad is?
Well, the theory was John Carpenter, when he did the original one, he wanted the second one to be a totally different story. He wanted it to be like anthology. So I think that's the route they're supposed to be going.
But that just doesn't make any sense because, I mean, well, they tried that with the third one and it backfired. And Halloween will always be attached to Michael Myers, and Michael Myers will always be attached to Halloween. And I feel like because they're so late in the game in this, so to speak, that it wouldn't make much sense to try and make it like a different story every time. Because I mean,
unless they were going to do an extra, they should do another chapter of the horrible season of The Witch. Then you know what I mean? Like bounce back. All right. So you've rebooted / finished the original thing. You tried this once. Now do a redo. Do 40 years later on that bullshit and make it good now. And then you have the beginning of a successful experiment with your anthology.
Or just buy another unfucking produced Twilight Zone episode.
That too,
or
right?
Just make new ones, like start over. I mean, Freddy Krueger, Jason, and Michael, and all those guys from the late 70s and 80s, they're iconic, but they've clearly run their course. Society has changed. The industry has changed. So maybe we need to make new boogeymen and new child play killers and new guys in hockey.
The only one really that's going at the moment, other than Saw, with the Jigsaw one, is Hatchet. Is probably the only other one I can think of off the top of my head that's had enough sequels.
Yeah,
considered a franchise at this point.
I mean, they are doing a new installment in Hellraiser, which I think
it's not even fucking Doug Bradley. Fuck.
Oh God! See, that's the thing. Plus, and no one's gonna understand why that matters. You know what I mean?
I had the opportunity to interview the guy that's going to be playing Pinhead on this show, and I said, "Fuck no," in my response.
There you go. Like, fuck that. I'm not going to take the exposure now because you weren't true to the story then. You know, I mean, but like, that's the thing. Do people even know who Pinhead is? This is the same thing I felt like when they announced that Fury Road was coming out. I was like, it's been so goddamn long. Do we really? Who's been asking for a Mad Max sequel? And then I totally had to eat my words on that because that is one of my favorite movies in the last 5 years, easily. That movie was amazing, and it kind of, I think that's the same way I feel about what this Halloween could be. You know what I mean? Like how I was immediately ready to like discount the whole idea of a new Mad Max, and then you watch it and you're like, oh shit, that was a new Mad Max. And that, I mean, you had Tom Hardy just literally as if there was like, we're not even going to address the fact that it's a different actor. Just fuck it. This is the same Max from the original ones, you know? So even though you saw him die at the end of Thunderdome, this takes place before that happened, and it doesn't fucking matter. It's a different person.
Spoilers.
Yeah. For anybody who's not familiar with Mad Max, you've had so much time, guys. You've had so much time.
Yeah, don't watch Thunderdome. It's got Tina Turner on it.
Yeah.
It's terrible in that movie.
Has so many good lines, though. So many memorable lines.
Nothing wrong with Tina Turner. She just can't fucking act.
Yeah. Well, that's why it was like she had to be very one note. It worked for the one note. Yeah, she was the gypsy. She was the acid queen from The Who's Tommy.
She's kind of like Rihanna in that fucking, what was it, Battleships or some shit she made.
Yeah, I remember seeing commercials for it. I almost forgot that happened. That's funny. Like,
I saw like 5 minutes of that on TV once, and it was just like, this is the worst fucking film ever.
And I have a friend who loves it because he's really into like kaiju and big robots and stuff. And I'm like, really, dude? It's called Battleship. It's kind of like, that's where I'm done already. The conversation ends at the title. Like, that's not something that needed to get turned into a movie. Although they are making a movie out of the Rampage video game, the old arcade.
I saw the trailer today.
Oh, I haven't seen the trailer yet, but I heard that it's out, and I kind of see like I don't know. I like the idea of tackling these old, you know, stories now. It's just that like the people who've already done this, like the Rob Zombies who've had their chance and they like just shat all over things. It already makes it like a dicey option, like a dicey deal to even think about taking. But I don't know. I feel like there's hope, but part of me wants to see like the type of story structure you described, Drew. You know, like the 3-act, the true to form. But I don't know. I think the finding a way to kind of somehow do both, almost like be true to the form, but add something new to it would be interesting too. I'm not really sure what that is. Like, I feel like I really liked the 2015, 2016 Blair Witch movie that came out because it was a hybrid of two things. It was the original Blair Witch, but it was like a new spin, and it had that sort of modern feel to it, and it felt a little like, because the meta-ness worked, it kind of had more of a seriousness to it that you felt like, oh, I could watch another one of these. I want that. You know what I mean? I want that out of this new Halloween for sure. I don't know who I want to see play anybody else, though. You know, I mean, other than maybe like a Tobin Bell as a Loomis type. I mean, do we put in the tropey characters we expect, or do we put in the characters that we haven't had in these movies before? Do we put a historian who may have an idea of why Michael is who he is and has survived all this time? I mean, without him being this killing machine, do we have the image of Michael Myers being immortal and unstoppable? You know, I mean, that's an interesting premise to come into the sequel without having that been established, other than what he was able to do in the first movie, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely, it's a weird time for horror films because on one note, pretty much anything that's coming out of Blumhouse is making money, but every other company are losing money on horror.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying the curve of horror movies being successful again is starting to dip back. So it's the first couple of flops out of Blumhouse and fucking horror's going back to straight to DVD. Is what insiders are saying at the moment, which is a bit shit for us doing horror fucking podcasts or writing horror fucking movies. But...
Yeah, man, it definitely is not encouraging. I mean, maybe though, with the way that streaming services work and stuff, you know, like if you had something that became, I wouldn't want to sell a movie, I would want to sell a series. You know, I'd want an idea that could be turned into like at least an 8-part, you know, something that then could possibly have a second season. I love longer form storytelling.
It's also where the money is at the moment, because if you're a writer,
you're
getting 8 paychecks there rather than just one.
Right, right. Which is, you know, how we're all going to somehow have to find a way to live and eat in the new world with a new Michael Myers, among all the other things that are new. Yeah. But I don't know. Should we see Michael Myers not in the town? You know, I mean, if it's 40 years later, are they moving? You know, like have they gone to another country? I don't know. The idea that it's 40 years that he hasn't killed anybody in all that time, it almost makes it feel like, well, what the hell kind of movie is this going to be? You know what I mean? Like, regardless of what we would want to see. And is it going to be better to maybe go into it without any expectations? So that way, whatever they try has a more of a fighting chance of winning us over. Because I know if I go into something expecting something and get the complete opposite, I have to wrestle with this feeling of, you know, you let me down, even though you didn't know that this is what I wanted. You know, that you always were going to present this, but fuck you, I'm mad because it wasn't what I wanted it to be. And I think that's what you get from.
I had no expectations, and I'm still disappointed. Pretty much.
Already.
Yeah, I had no expectations, and I'm already disappointed. Only to be disappointed anyway.
I want to see him kill folk with Zimmer frame. Now that he's old. He doesn't have a knife, he's only fucking walker things.
Well, that will have to come into play. Will he be more of like a jigsaw and set traps for people? You know what I mean? It's like,
well, now it makes sense why it takes so fucking long to walk upstairs.
It eliminates a whole lot of
to come back then.
It just, oh man.
You know, it's a funny thing. Like, I think didn't Peter Jackson supposedly write a script for the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise where it was like Freddy as an old man, you know what I mean? Like old man Freddy, not as powerful. Like the idea that these horror movie icons age at some point, even in these fantastical otherworldly places that they live in. That's kind of a neat concept, but
like even Freddy Krueger gets old.
Yeah,
damn
Jason Voorhees, like, you know, he is keeping scars from all these places you guys heard him. You know, even though
and not just superficial, in his heart too.
Yeah. He's a troubled young lad, troubled young boy, who's apparently a Deadite from the Evil Dead series now, according to the
that's what
director.
Yeah.
The hell were they thinking?
That's
That's an interesting theory, though, nonetheless.
That's the tease for the crossover with him and Ash from the Evil Dead.
Yeah, are they actually doing that, or is that just going to exist in comic book form?
I think that might be just existing in comic book form.
Yeah, I think Bruce Campbell said it wasn't going to happen.
He's like, I'm getting too old. We're doing this whole Stars show. Fuck it. You know?
I think it was like more along the lines of it keeps getting stuck in like production hell or whatever it's called, development hell.
Yeah.
So it just was like,
20 years that script been kicking around now.
The second Freddy vs. Jason that would then include Ash. I mean, I remember he's in footage that you unlock by beating the game and collecting all of these certain items that you have to find, where he's talking about, oh yeah, they're doing it, but it's 3 franchises that they have to marry. You know, look how long it took them to marry Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. Now you have to throw Evil Dead in there. He's like, that shit's gonna take forever. You know, like,
well, because wasn't Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street owned by like 2 different companies?
Yeah. It took, was the one after Jason Takes Manhattan was when
Jason Goes to Hell was actually where Dimension Films.
That's the first one.
New Line had it. And that's why Freddy's glove comes up at the end and pulls the mask down into the ground, and we hear his laugh, and sets up
a film that doesn't happen for 20 years.
Which we all, and again, that was one of those movies that we talked about in elementary school, you know, at lunch. We were like, oh, what would happen if Freddy ever fought Jason? You know what I mean? And to finally then see it happen, even though, you know, that right there was an expectation. They didn't fucking even come near close to meeting it. But I think it wasn't an unrealistic expectation. We just wanted it to be cooler than it was. And
kind of like what would happen if Jason and Michael Myers fought each other. Because they're too silent, so there's no shit talking.
It would be the whole movie would be them walking to where the fight is. You know what I mean? Because they just walk slowly, no matter how fast you run away, they will get you.
Yeah, or like, you know, I'm picturing it where it's like Michael is like walking towards the fight, and you've got his like chase music, did it, ting 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 ting, did it. But then like after a while, like even the composer's like, it's been 10 minutes. You've only walked half a mile.
Yeah, we're going to just let us know when you get there. We'll kick back in so that you guys both enter to your own music, you know. Yeah. I liked what they did when they rebooted Friday the 13th, and they kind of like revealed that whole tunnel system that he has, and like the alarms and the tripwires, so that he knows where all the people are and he can get to them quick. At least shine a little bit of a light on something that made his mystical appearing wherever he needed it to be feel more plausible. I don't know what they could do like that for Halloween, though. You know what I mean? Because Halloween already was like, well, it's just a dude. It's like literally it's just a dude, and he's evil, and that's it. So
I think the trick with Halloween's basically take the supernatural shit out that they put in the sequels.
Right.
If it's just a guy, it's scarier to me. Like a vampire or something knocking on my door isn't scary, because I can kill that without any moral problem about it whatsoever. It's already dead, so who gives a fuck? If it's a guy in a fucking mask and a knife, I'm going to feel shitty afterwards because I've probably stabbed him 50 times to make sure he was dead.
Right.
I mean,
yeah. Even though he's been this monstrous person who's been stalking you for decades, you know. But in this, if it's this long and he hasn't necessarily been stalking her, or if he has, it hasn't left a trail of dead bodies, you know, it almost is like, how is it going to be a Halloween movie without that? You know, how is he going to still be Michael Myers?
They're really missing a trick if they don't cast William Shatner as Michael Myers.
Oh, holy shit.
They take the mask off and it's the fucking same face. That would be
hilarious. Although I've never understood how that was. It was like, didn't it melt from being on a shelf in sunlight or something like that? Like,
well, they sprayed it white so that way you couldn't tell it was a William Shatner mask, and then like played with the hair. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it would be funny. Like, I think it'd be funnier if like William Shatner just like showed up and was like, nice mask. Like actually
has like a cameo.
Yeah,
has like a walkthrough cameo. Yeah,
nice mask. And then like anyone who's who knows, who's been a Halloween fan for long knows, oh, that's funny, huh?
Yeah, it's an Easter eggy inside joke kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think
it would be like having Jamie Lee Curtis show up after she died as Laurie, being Jamie Lee Curtis taking the part as Laurie when they decide to make the movie.
Or like when Jennifer Tilly in Seed of Chucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. She played herself and Tiffany wanted to be Jennifer Tilly, and Jennifer Tilly was like, what the fuck? And it's a whole thing.
Which I didn't watch, but I guess I don't need to now. Thank you, though.
You're welcome.
Thank you for catching me up on the Chucky franchise.
You're welcome. And even so, it's still like, ever since Seed of Chucky, it's like it's Jennifer Tilly it's like Tiffany being Jennifer Tilly, not Jennifer Tilly being Tiffany. So
nice.
It's just kind of funny.
Meta,
but, yeah. But Jennifer Tilly's been in that role for so long.
That's funny. She inherited that franchise too.
She did. Poor Brad Dourif. Poor Brad.
What about poor Brad Dourif?
I don't know, because it's like he's Chucky. He's the little doll. He's the redheaded doll, the good guy's doll who kills people and is unsuspecting. And then this fucking beach, platinum blonde chick with big tits shows up, and all of a sudden, it's her show. It's her game. People don't care about Chucky. People want to see Tiffany.
Is he still doing the voice of Chucky, though, or no?
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. But nobody gives a shit.
He's still getting paid. It's still his character. It's not like he's out of the movies.
I've always thought that was
he might be now.
That was the franchise that they should have crossed over with Ash for the Evil Dead.
Yeah, that would have made a lot of sense, actually, because they already kind of have things being possessed and like souls swapping.
And the comedy aspect's already there.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that'd be so funny. Like, just like Chucky, just like, hi, I'm Chucky. And then Ash says some stupid one-liner like fucking dolls. And then like, he's got a chainsaw hand and this doll's got a knife. And all of a sudden.
No time for games, kid. And he throws the doll across the room. And then all of a sudden it's like, how about this game? And all of a sudden he jumps on his back and he's using the pull string to try to choke fucking Ash.
It turns into like this whole like Army of Darkness situation with like the eye poking.
Like, what the hell's going on here? Yeah, man, this is my movie. No, we're not even in a movie. Like that. There could be like that whole meta argument going on.
We should make that happen.
So how many movies do we have to write now? What was the first one we were writing?
It's okay. They're on a list. I'm gonna I think Ash versus Chucky should happen. I'm gonna try to make that. I want
Ash versus Chucky. Yeah, I'm down.
It would be fucking hilarious. And we can get Sam Raimi involved. So perfect.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd think it's hilarious.
He'd be like, yeah, it's so funny. I already thought of it, by the way, guys. Just to let you know. This is mine.
Can we produce it? I'll produce it.
Have us as a podcast in the fucking thing. Put podcasts in movies, guys.
Chucky can kill us, or Ash and Chucky can kill us because we're talking shit.
There you go. I like it. Yeah. This is how we get in this fucking thing.
Yeah. Turns out podcasting does pay off.
You just have to be creative.
Yeah.
Again, putting me in unprofessional.
There was that Australian podcast that did the videos on YouTube. They did a movie basically from their podcast where they just started dying off, but they never told anyone it was a fucking movie. So it's just randomly, and they made it look like it was live.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing about
coming out their fucking eyeballs and shit.
Is this what they turned that Unfriended movie into? Or
I think that's loosely fucking copied. Yeah.
Where they're all on a Skype call, and as they're getting like killed off, it's like their dead friend is it's whatever. It's like really stretching to make the modern technology fill in the gaps of lack of plot. Oh, sorry.
I liked it.
I'm sorry. I've been up for a while. I've been up since 6. So.
Sorry.
I've been up since Sunday.
I was gonna say Drew never sleeps.
Dear Lord, man.
Drew is like 5 hours ahead of us right now, 6 hours ahead of you, and yeah, it's one of those where you're like, oh shit, it's that time where you are.
It's 3 a.m. where you are.
20 past 3. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, what are you still doing awake?
Now Liz is the mom of the show.
If I'm not in bed by midnight, I turn into a very bitchy person, or even a bitchy pumpkin. That's what I turn into. If I'm not in bed.
I'm kind of like that 24/7 if I get sleep or not, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it makes it easy to just coast.
Well, so in final, what we thinking? Are our ideas better than what will actually happen, or are you excited for this new Halloween movie?
I think our ideas are much better than what's probably going to happen. Not that I'm saying I'm not excited for what's probably going to happen. I just think that the three of us have come up with some pretty awesome ideas, and I'm probably going to open a Word document after we wrap this up, and we'll write what we think Halloween should be. And I'm like fan fiction version, so like keep your eyes peeled and like archive of our own.
It may, yeah,
or
it'll
fanfiction.net.
This will be part of the. It'll be probably on the Hollow9ine blog page because we need to get some words up there so that Google likes us for things like AdSense and shit.
So like my Halloween fan fiction should just be posted on the Hollow9ine site. I'll just give it to Jennifer and she'll be like, "What the fuck is this shit?"
That's exactly. And then and then all of a sudden it'll be a new link on the news feed on Hollow9ine.
And it'll be on my page, and it'll be on my blog, and it'll be great.
It'll be all over the place. That's how that works.
Yeah. And then the next thing we know is Blumhouse is yet again rebooting Halloween because some stupid girl decided to write some alternate universe. That made it more of a psychological thriller than a slasher.
Putting the net in networking.
They'll sign you to a 5-picture deal, but like you'll never make any of the films like they did with that poor guy.
Oh,
did you read that story?
No, who is that?
They signed this guy Street at a film school to a 5-picture deal, and I can't remember for how much. Something like crap amount of money, like 180 grand for 5 films, and he's never fucking even met Jason Blum or Eden yet.
Wow.
Over years.
And they haven't even made any of the movies? He hasn't had any scripts like they have any.
They've never told him what they are wanting from him. They've never done anything. They just signed him as like a fucking PR stunt.
Wow. So take the money and run, I guess. But then do they have contractual rights to whatever he writes for the next 5 years or whatever? Like
I believe so. I don't think they can stop him working. I can't remember what his name was. It's Daniel something. I'll work it out and I'll message it to you. But yeah, I don't think they've got like a contract where he can't work anywhere else. But I think they do have, if he develops a script, it has to go through them.
Yeah. So even if he does get a job someplace else, they're like, no, that's gonna be ours. So that's man. I've heard of some shady dealings in the entertainment industry like that. Even agents and stuff that will like hold down one actor to make sure another actor gets ahead career wise. And when you're playing with the years that people have on this planet and the years that they're going to look as good as they look, like this is in prime. Like if you're going to make me a vampire right now is the time to do it, because I'm never going to look any better than this. It's all downhill from here. They will still get like held down so that someone else who has a similar look, who's already been on the track ahead of them or something like that, will get ahead. And like that's the kind of shit that will make me sit back and go like, why do I want to work in this industry again? But maybe that's
fair, though, 180 grand is a lot better than having to watch Harvey Weinstein wank into a potted plant.
Oh Jesus. This is true. That is
very true.
That is crazy. I still can't believe shit like this. This is like, really, dude? And like, how did you not expect this to get out?
I can completely believe it. Though people that get to that level of power have no fucking idea what the real world's like. They just think
you don't jerk off on plants too. Like if you don't do this at your house, you don't force people to come over to watch you jerk off on plants. Like no,
he's a guy that sat and had dinner with like presidents and stuff.
Yeah,
something like 4 presidents he sat and had dinner with. So he thought he was untouchable.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy, dude. That is fucking crazy. And that's the other thing that you think, like, you know, we do these podcasts where we'll talk about like, hey, you know who would have been awesome in that movie? This person. And there's that someone out there who knows, like, yeah, they were supposed to be in it, but they wouldn't suck the producer's dick, or they wouldn't do this, you know? And it's like, or, oh, hey, they said this in a fucking magazine article about them. And then from then on, it was like, that person's never going to work in Hollywood again. And you're like, you guys have time to be this petty? Like, holy fucking shit. That's pretty wild. I mean, I guess when the whole thing you're dealing with is pretending to be people who aren't real and pretending to be in these situations that are fake, but presenting them that they're so realistic that even the people watching at home with music and sound effects will be like, what's about to happen? Like, holy shit, what is this? I mean, maybe from dabbling in that, it gets hard to hold on to what's real and what's not, I guess. But I don't know. I still just find it crazy that, like, really, this is what you guys do. Like, this is how this works. Like, shit. That's.
And the scary thing is, it's been going on for decades. There's a famous Marilyn Monroe quote. Someone asked her, "How'd you get to be as successful as her?" And she said, "Have a big smile and be good at fellatio."
Oh, Jesus. Wow. Well, yeah. It's a shitty world. We have a really shitty world. A lot of shitty people in it. So, I don't know. Like you said, it'll be interesting to see how it all changes now. You know, like what the face of the rebounded, rebuilt, and recovered version of the entertainment industry is. Because, I mean, I imagine there'll still be a few more really crazy, heartbreaking revelations. Yeah. At this point, it's almost gonna be like I'm just gonna throw away my entire DVD collection now. Like, ah, fuck. All of these movies are made by sex offenders. Everything in this must go. I have nothing to watch anymore.
Well, that's where we come in and swoop in and fix it. Exactly. Make better shit.
And don't rape anybody in the process of making it. And no one gets raped in the production of any of our stuff, okay?
No, so, and if you try, you get... And if you try, we take you out back and shoot you.
Yeah, they will just not find a body. They just won't find a body. You will cease to have existed on the earth. It'll just, like, we'll fucking... we'll looper you. We'll send you back to the past and they'll burn your shit. Now that there's like a whole bunch of people like, oh, fuck, we got to keep an eye on some motherfuckers. Now, if they disappear, we know Dave did this. We know Dave's got a system over there.
Well, I would probably be in charge of that department, but that's okay.
Yeah,
I'll let you take the fall.
Head of the Throat Slitters Union at the Hollow9ine.
At least we ended on a like upbeat note.
An upbeat, morbid note, yeah. Was Donkey Punch for Life watching DP4L?
Nope. I think I sent him over to have a look at Cave Crew the night.
Oh, there you go.
With him, but I don't know if he went over.
Oh, wow. Damn you, Choo Stew. When does he fight Ripka? Did that already happen? Did the battle already go down?
I think it's the end of the month. It's like a battle of the witless.
Yeah, we got to check that shit out. That's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Oh, man.
Well, it's been an absolute blast hanging out with the two of you. So thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having us, dude.
Cool. And as always, to the audience, fuck off.